everyone, it's Jai452 here inside the cupboard of cosplay. So we're rummaging around, seeing what secrets we can uncover and what we can find. And look who I found. It's Titan Cosplay, everyone.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. So we're just gonna first start off by saying if we lose the internet connection, we are sorry. Trouble in the UK, but we will do what we can to bring back the feed, so it's not a problem. So I'm going to just jump right in and first ask you, Titan, when did you first start cosplaying?
I first started cosplaying 3 years ago. Yeah, about 3 years ago. Um, well, it started before that. Halloween of 2012. My first Halloween after getting out of the military, and I hadn't dressed up for Halloween since I was a kid. I really wanted to go kind of big with it, and we got invited to this giant house party with like hundreds of people, getting paid to get in, and it was a costume contest there. I got to do something. I can't just walk in there with some kind of store bought costume. Well, store bought costumes don't fit me. I mean, they're too big or too tall or something. They just don't fit. I think The Dark Knight Rises just came out. Of course, being a big bald guy, I like Bane, as most big bald guys do. Good representation of the bald guy. Uh, so I really liked the costume. I really liked the character. So I started piecing out from eBay and Amazon and then putting it together. At the time, I didn't want to spend a whole bunch of money on it, but I didn't have the skills to make any of that. So I found a really good face mask piece. It was a silicone mold. No, it was a latex mold, but it was a slightly deformed one, so I got it for really cheap. There's a couple discrepancies in it, so I got it for really cheap, and I just painted it myself. Got all dressed up and added some pieces, and I just got out of the military, so I had a whole bunch of military style like gadgets and stuff near me, like little buckles and clips. So stuff that didn't fit or didn't look nice or didn't look, because it was, I think the chest piece part, the harness that I got was from China. It was like a knockoff, and the colors were off, and stitching was real bad. So I just kind of used hot glue here and there and made it, painted it, spray painted it. Just kind of figured out stuff the first time, and I wore it. And I was like, I wore it this Halloween. I spent weeks on this thing, and I wore it one night for this Halloween party, and it was a big hit. Everybody loved it. And I was like, oh, I spent all this money, not all this money. I spent all this time on this costume, and only got to wear it for one night. That's kind of stupid. I just kind of put it away, and I was kind of upset about it. I wore it to another Halloween costume, I think a party, another couple days later. But it sat in my closet for months, and then I was at a car show with a friend. I told him, man, I had this awesome Bane costume. I get to wear it once. I guess I'll wear it again next Halloween. I don't know. He was like, well, there's a Comic-Con coming up in May.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Comic Palooza. It's a big one. Comic-Cons, and I've heard of Comic-Cons. I've been a nerd all my life. I know about San Diego Comic-Con, but I didn't know that it was everywhere. I mean, I just knew there was smaller cons, like sci-fi cons, like Star Trek cons, stuff. I knew that. But I didn't know there was an actual huge comic book based Comic-Con here in Houston, Texas. So I immediately went online that night, looked it up. I was like, oh, I'm going. Bought my 2 tickets. Convinced one of my best friends to come with me. I was a little shy and nervous having bare arms hanging out. And, I was nervous. And it was a very, very fun time. I was instantly hooked on cosplay. As soon as I walked into what's funny, here's another funny story. We had a park kind of far away. The event that it was in, it's called the George R. Brown Convention Center, and it's over 1 million square foot place, huge, and it's in downtown Houston. So I had to park like half mile away, and I have to walk there through downtown Houston with my friend, and there's like no other costume around. It's just me as Bane wearing this giant mask, pretty imposing. Friend, he's in normal clothes. Every person we walk past is like.
But you get that, like when you're walking in costume, because
Absolutely.
my cosplay partner in crime tends to do his makeup as he's traveling to the area. Now,
Yeah.
because he's quite central to where we do our events, I'm not. like for me, I have to travel like an hour on the bus to get to where we're going, where I have to go.
Hmm.
Um, so I tend to just like carry my makeup with me. I'm like, like I live in Scotland, it rains a lot, so I just tend to think, okay, I am not getting on a bus, doing my makeup while on the bus, and then getting off the bus, have it rain, and then just completely wipe everything. Um, but he just does it, and he walks through the street like that. Now I remember the first time meeting up with him, and I was like, okay, trying to remember what he looks like without any makeup on. And then I like pull into the bus stop and I see him standing there, full Joker makeup, waiting for me. And I'm like, you do know that we have to walk through the streets like that, right?
Yeah.
But it's really surprising how many people react to that and they kind of like shout and say, oh, Joker, or,
Yeah.
you know,
That's exactly what happened to
that
me.
is,
I had to walk
that is
past a real busy,
right.
a real busy hotel, the Hilton Hotel downtown. It's a real busy hotel, and all the car hops and bellboys and drivers are all there going, "Oh my God, hey, Bane!" Called me over and we started taking photos with them. That was my first time getting
Mm.
called out as Bane and taking photos with people. Then when I made it to the George R. Brown, it was kind of dead outside. I saw some people walking, and like, oh, this is maybe a small event for a big place. Well, it turns out the waiting line is like a mile long, and it's snaking through the corridors of George R. Brown. So as soon as I walked up, I took the escalators up to the second floor. I mean, literally, as I cleared off the landing, it felt like everybody had stopped and turned and looked at me. And like they all kind of just, everybody, and I kind of heard that gasp, like, oh, this is cool. I think I got it right. I think I did right. And just having that, almost felt like a rock star. I think that's why a lot of cosplayers do it, because that
That kind of thing,
little bit of fame.
that kind of situation happened to me twice. It happened to me at the first Comic Con that I went to, and I wasn't expecting it at all, because I went dressed as a kind of male version of Harley Quinn, and there were like 4 or 5 girls that I'd seen dressed as various Harleys outside waiting to get in, and because I had the early bird ticket, I could just go right up to the door and be like, ticket, um, and walk in. But as soon as like I was walking about on the floor in costume, the amount of people that just like flocked to me kind of like took me back a little bit. I was like,
Yeah.
people. The second time it happened to me, I wasn't so like shell shocked. I was doing a small Halloween event, and it was a kind of similar idea to the costume, but with a little bit of monster makeup. And people just immediately again to me, and I'm like, okay, am I doing something really right here? But it's really fun how like I personally get a little bit more out of it seeing young children's faces light up,
Yeah.
because that's really something for me. Um, Having a background working with children, like I really do enjoy seeing them just go, you
Absolutely.
know,
And,
do you
that's
get
one of the things oh yeah, that's one of the things I pass on to people. It's like, when people give me advice for cosplay, it's like, it's fun to do it for yourself. And when I first went to the Comic Con, I was honestly doing it for myself. It was mostly about vanity. I wanted to show off the thing that I made. I was proud of it. At least I wanted to get a chance to wear it. And also, Patrick Stewart was going to be there at the Comic Con. So I was like, I kind of get to get all this at once. Hell yeah, let's go. But from there since on, I realized it's not just about you going there. It's about everybody else who's going there. People who aren't in costume, people that bring their kids, and it's a family-friendly event. It's about kids, really. Think about it. A lot of them are geared towards adults and all that, but it's really about childhood, because that's when we all got hooked on all this. When I was a kid watching, Saturday morning cartoons, the X-Men coming on in the 90s, and
even
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, G.I. Joes, all that kind of stuff really turned me on to this whole world when I was younger. And so I try to do that when I go to a con. Like, my goal is not to see, a teenager or an adult think, oh, that's really cool. I want the kid to go just kind of get shocked, like almost like in awe, and stay there, kind of stare at me. Like he believes I'm that character.
That's awesome. So my next question for you is, who or what inspires you to cosplay?
Like I said, it used to be about what I wanted to do, but now it's listen to what my followers and friends suggest. Killer Croc is one of them. I've known of Killer Croc. I've played the video game Arkham Asylum. I've seen him on, the Batman animated series. I know the character. He was not on my radar as far as potential cosplays because I didn't have a solution for the facial prosthetics mask. Everything else I had a plan for. I could do just getting the face done. Just didn't have a way to do it that I wanted to do it to my level of accuracy, I guess you could say. And so my friend suggested, oh, this guy named Malmy Studios in Ohio is making masks. You should totally check it out. As soon as I saw it, I messaged him right away. I was like, I want this. It needs to happen. And from there on, and so now it's getting to the point where I take suggestions. Somebody suggested I should redo my Cable and Colossus. That's what I'm doing now.
Awesome.
Yeah. So usually it's getting to the point now where if I have a question of a version of a character I want to do, I will post it to my page and have my followers decide for me what they want to see. So now it's my followers. Whatever they want me to do, I will hopefully put it on the list of to do.
Things to do.
Yeah.
Awesome. What has been the most challenging cosplay that you've ever done? And I'm going to split this up into two halves for you. From both a creating the costume side, because a lot of cosplayers do make their own, and some of them will buy them in, which there's nothing wrong with.
Nothing wrong with that.
But also from an acting standpoint, because not an awful lot of people really do get the fact that there is a little bit of acting involved in cosplay, whether it
There
be
is.
doing an impression or just talking the way the character talks or acting how they would act or even just the posing.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people just think, oh, it's just you dressing up in a costume and taking pictures. No, you need to know how that character would
That's just
stand.
that's Halloween and costuming.
Mm,
Cosplaying is costume play. You gotta be the character. So it's
mm.
something that people don't do or don't do enough or do too much.
So let's start with the acting side because like I've seen a lot of your like costumes and they're flawless. Like
Thank you.
I'm looking at them and going, oh my God, this is a competition. I need to step up my game.
Well, I've always been villains. I can do the villain being imposing and just scary. I can do that no problem. Walk past people and just kind of growl at them. No, just be a bad guy. I can do that too easy. My hardest one was Thor. It was my second costume ever. Crafting wise as well. It wasn't a very difficult costume in hindsight, but at the time it was because I had no idea what I was doing with Warbler and foam and all this kind of stuff. But being like this, a hero or a god, and being able to pose with a 15-pound hammer and just I didn't practice for it. So when I showed up to my first and only con that I wore it to, I don't. Looking at all the pictures in hindsight, just wasn't portraying him very well. The only time in the con that I actually, manned up and did a good job of Thor is when I was the crowded area. We were trying to get through it to go to a certain section of the crowd to the con, and it was just packed. It was a very busy con. And I was like, "Make way for the God of Thunder!" Just kind of screamed it out, and people were like, "Oh, okay," and just get out of the way. But I should have been like that way a little bit more bravo, more bravos to me. Kind of walked around with a little cocky, I guess. I don't know. With Killer Croc and Bane and all these villains I do, I just kind of like skulk around, not say anything, just kind of like weave through people and scare the crap out of them. So it's really about, like you said, it's really about acting and being the character. For me, being a hero is sometimes a little harder to do.
You were kind of saying about Thor there, and that just kind of reminded me of a funny story that somebody else mentioned in an interview. Apparently, one of their friends was dressed as Loki, and they got up onto this kind of like, I don't know whether it was like a security cage or something, but it was like a kind of it was off the ground, basically.
Yeah.
And he was just basically screaming at people like, kneel before me and such likes. And I can remember just like thinking, had I been there, like at that same event when this person was screaming this, and I walked like past him as like my Harley character, I'd probably just turn to this poor person and say, look, if it didn't work for Skeletor and He-Man, it's not going to work for you, and just keep walking.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until later on in the interview that I realized that's what Harley would do. You know, she would say something like that. She would say, if it didn't work for them, it's not working for you.
Yeah.
So, hmm. Um, so take us through a little bit of the costume design part for Thor, because you said that that was also kind of one of the more challenging ones for you.
Yeah. Coming from Bane, which was I had piecing things together and making the connections look nice and just modify. That's a previously made costume. That's one thing. But creating something just from scratch, uh, everything I made from scratch are modified heavily. The chess piece that I made, uh, I saw the image of Thor. It was the source image I got was from Thor from Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 video game, and I
Mhm.
thought he looked. It was a very cool version of was it the movie version? Was it straight, comic book, original comic book version, blue tights and stuff like that? It was a very cool modern Viking version. So I used that as my base, and I started making stuff. And I bought some. Okay, I got some paper foam. I went to Joann's and bought this really cool black vinyl material. It wasn't really vinyl. It was weird. Like it almost had a rubberized texture to it. I think it was meant for like motorcycle seating or something like that. So I got a whole bunch of a lot of it. I was going to cover it, but I didn't realize when you put material over a curved surface, you got to cut it, tuck it, and all this kind of stuff. So I started working on it. It didn't look right. I still have that in my craft room. The original piece that I made, I keep looking at it. That was bad. Just gotta put it back. Then I learned about Warbler from a cosplayer named Cole Marie Jean. She's a pretty big cosplayer. I had met her at Comic Blue when I dressed as Bane, and on her page, she talked about she did some work in progress photos of Warbler. I've never heard of it. I found it online, bought some, and like fell in love with it. Oh, this is perfect. Put it on there, heat it up, it melts to it. You tuck, and you don't have to worry about fabric bunching up on you. It was so easy, and it's all hands on. So I got some of that, worked on it, and had some foam pieces. And once I got the Warbler in, things started to connect, started to go. It attached to my body. I had no idea how to do it. Originally, I started gluing it to a T-shirt, and I was going to put this Russian shirt on, and it was going to just be wearable, and it would move with me. Well, then pieces wouldn't stick well, and it'd come off. Like when I moved, it didn't move right. So I kept having to go back to the drawing board. Eventually, I just cut the shirt off, started attaching straps and buckles, and then the very first thing I made was the hammer, Mjolnir. I wanted it to be heavy, um, so luckily I had some 2x6s in my house, in my garage, and I was able to create this like 15-pound hammer, and that's the very first thing I made for Thor. I was like, oh, I got the hammer. Hammer turned out pretty well. I could do the rest. Then when it came to the helmet took me a long time to figure out how to do that because I tried using cardboard to make a little template for my head and just tried to get something to look like kind of spherical and do something similar to what the movie had. It wasn't working at all. And then eventually I thought that being an ex-military, I just went to the military surplus store, one of the many here in Houston. I just kind of went and walked inside and I found an old helmet base for I think probably from the 80s or 90s. And I was like, well, the front of it looks kind of weird, but if you turn it backwards, turn it around, it looks kind of helmetish, like a comic book helmet. And all that you would need was just add on things on the side.
Awesome. Um, so my next question is, again, it's kind of interesting one.
Sure.
In your opinion, what is the most difficult thing or character to cosplay as? And this can be from your own personal experience or is an overall thing. Like, what kind of cosplays would you just go, yeah, I'm not going to touch that?
For me, it's not knowing the source material. Uh, I've only cosplayed as characters that I've known, have seen in media, have read comic books about, know the history about. Um, yeah, so I make it. If I don't know the character, or if I don't know enough about it, I will research it before I actually start cosplaying or even start designing costumes. So for me, it would be something I don't know about. Most likely, it's anime. I don't know. I've only seen Dragon Ball Z, and I haven't seen it in over 50 years. Uh,
So,
I haven't really gotten into anime yet.
is there any kind of type of cosplay that you wouldn't kind of do? Like, um, you'll know yourself from going to different Comic Con events that there are many, 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 many um, stormtroopers that wander around. And
Yeah,
there's a good point. I'm going to ask you this question. Do you
sure.
agree with me when I say that stormtroopers and anyone dressed similarly at a Comic Con should just be given like a job for the day? Like, if you get lost at a Comic Con, just go find a stormtrooper and say, "Hey, I'm trying to find blah 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 blah," and they go, "Oh, it's over there."
No, they'll just tell you move along. That's all it was. Move along.
Yeah, like have them as security.
You think they would be because I mean, there's usually, like you said, even in states, there's a lot of stormtroopers, especially now with the success of the new movie. I'm sure there's going to be even more as the more movies come out. There'll be more stormtroopers.
There's always
But
like,
that's not a problem. It's just like yeah, they definitely. I always thought they just kind of stand there, and there's always a kind of a group of them. Like oh, I can just easily do a job. You're dressed like it.
that's just kind of like my personal thought is like give them a
Yeah.
job for the day, you know? You don't need to pay them like massive amounts. Just give them a couple of comics and they'll be fine. But
Or just the volunteers that show up, give them a costume for you.
yeah, like I honestly think that's a great idea. Like give them a job for the day, you know.
Mhm.
Go give someone something to do.
Hey, they're just
Um,
standing.
yeah, they're just standing there. Just tell them, hey, stand there, take pictures. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, like so, you would you do anything like that? Like the people that do the kind of stormtroopers, the Iron Mans, the Wookiees, would that be a kind of cosplay that you would try and do from scratch, or is that something that you would go, yeah, I'm buying that in?
Well, the Wookiee I would definitely buy because I haven't learned how to sew yet, and that thing is the amount of material that you have to make it look good and be able to sew, and how hot it would get inside that thing. I have a friend who bought a movie quality version of it for a lot of money, and he had stilts. It had every time he moved his jaw, it would do the kind of thing, and
Hmm.
it was like he was like 8 feet tall. It was an amazing costume, but he spent a lot of money on it. But as far as doing the more popular characters, I try to stay away from that. I guess not trying to be a hipster or anything. It's just I like to see something when I go to a con. I like, like most people, like to be the only one wearing that costume, of course. But I like to be, like to really focus on that costume. Like I started refocusing on Cable. Well, this is before the new Deadpool movie came out. Now I'm going to see a bunch of Cables every time I go to a Comic Con, which isn't a problem because he's one of my favorite X-Men and has been for a very, very long time and doesn't get any love really. So I'm interested to see some of these bigger cosplayers starting to tackle. But I try like Iron Man. I want to do Iron Man. I don't think I have the. I think I'm just too big for him. I guess I try to fit for my body type since I'm a bigger guy. I try to do the bigger, larger than life costume and heroes, just because I can command more authority when I wear them. It seems a little bit more lifelike, I guess you could say. Not saying that anybody can't do them. It's just that I like to do the bigger ones just because you don't see them too often. You don't see them done as a big character. So, as far as the Iron Man universe, there is a character in that universe that's I would love to do. I will eventually get around to doing. I've mentioned him. I mentioned him before. This character in my on my channels and my pages before. But he is still going to be happening, and he'll be all 9 foot glorious height of him will be happening eventually.
Awesome. Um, So when you're okay, hold on one second there.
Okay.
Um, when you're doing a cosplay event, what is the one thing that you're most excited for? And the one thing that either you used to find most nerve-wracking or still kind of do find a little bit nerve-wracking?
Um, it used to be waiting in line was the most nerve-wracking thing, just constant waiting. But now it's gotten to the point where you're used to it. It's just part of the con life. You actually get to meet some people you're standing next to. Uh, and if you're in a costume, cosplay, it's an even better opportunity to take pictures when you're in a stationary spot around usually, like I do. But here you're at a stationary spot, a lot of people around you can take pictures. So waiting in line now really isn't too bad now anymore. But what I look forward to when I go to a con, and it's what my wife and I both look forward to, is the artist. I would go to the artist alley, either to pick up just new artwork. We have a kind of our nerd office. This is our formal dining room for this house. We turned into an office. I built a desk for both of us, and we are lining the walls with all of the artwork that we've taken for a quick. All the artwork. This is my wife's wall. This is all her artwork she's picked up
Yay!
and stuff I've made for her. There's a couple of posters I've made for her, but she's a huge Gone with the Wind fan, so she got her a giant poster of it. She also does marathons, so that's some of her race stuff. But here's my wall, and got my figures up there, my Killer Croc posters, some of the signed.
Oh, you've got the same little Joker as I have. The
Oh
wooden
yeah,
one.
yeah, that's from the loot crate I just got. I just
Yeah,
ordered the loot crate, and that's the one that came in. So
I
I
got
got a lot of artwork, and that's the number one thing we look forward to when we go to con. What kind of new artwork we can pick up?
awesome. Um, so one of the things I wanted to ask you about the Comic Cons is there are two types of Comic Cons. There are the big once a year ones, and there are multiple versions of them. And there are they seem to be every weekend local ones. Which of the two do you prefer? Do you prefer the big once a year ones, or do you prefer the small local ones, or do you like a blend of the two?
I like both. I mean, a con is a con. For a cosplayer, it doesn't matter. Shouldn't matter. You're wearing a costume to be this character, whether 10 people are seeing it or 1,000. But the bigger cons, in Texas at least, will command more artist booths, obviously. But we like going. We went to a smaller con called Victoria Comic Con, which is about 2 hours from where I live. And it was our first time going. It's one of those last minute spur of the moment type things. And much smaller con than my wife and I have ever been to. But there were new artists that we've never met before or seen. So we actually ended up buying a lot of artwork stuff there because it's from vendors that we've never met before. Doing the Texas con circuit, you'll see some of the same vendors over and over again. Oh, I remember you. I saw you, 2 years ago. Saw your artwork, and I bought you some stuff there. You move on to the next one. Oh, I saw you like 6 months ago. And so it's like you start seeing the same ones over and over again, but it's the same artwork. So we always like to try new cons or go outside the normal cons that we go to so we can meet new artists. Some of the smaller comic book artists will film. So I like, the big ones. You get to see some of the bigger stars. You'll see some of the bigger cosplayers coming in town. The smaller ones, you get to see the new things you don't see at the bigger ones sometimes, because sometimes those small artists can't afford the bigger booth at the bigger cons. Smaller cons, they're cheaper booths. They can display their stuff. So it's go.
So I'm gonna slightly steer away from cosplay for a second. You mentioned about the bigger celebrities. So in a sense, this is kind of something that cosplay has managed, enabled you to do. So who can you give us maybe three of the biggest celebrities that you've met while being at a Comic Con?
I haven't. I'm not the one who usually waits in line for the for the celebrities. Line to get Greg Pak his autograph on my Planet Hulk and World War Hulk because I love Planet Hulk. And when he showed up to Dallas Comic Con, I didn't know he was going to be there. I just literally walked past his booth. I was like, You got to take a break here. Got to stop.
I know.
Yeah, how I bought a brand new Planet Hulk and World War Hulk just at his booth. Talked to him for like 10, 15 minutes. Showed him pictures of me as Planet Hulk, and it kind of went gaga for that. So that was big thing for me because I loved his stories of the Planet Hulk. But my second big con that I went to was Austin Comic Con or Wizard World Austin, and I met Stan Lee. My buddy and I bought tickets, non-VIP tickets, but tickets to meet Stan Lee quick, like take a picture and you're out kind of thing. I waited in line for like 3.5 hours in costume as Colossus for the first time wearing Colossus and to meet Stan Lee. And so that was, of course, if you're going to a Comic Con and he's there nearby, you gotta go see him and take a picture with him because he's getting up there in age. But then
He's like
when 93, he just turned 93.
93? I thought it was
90.
I thought it was a year older.
When I was at Austin Comic Con, Wizard World Austin, he actually celebrated his 90th or 89th birthday, 90th birthday. I forget. So we're like, oh wow, I didn't realize he was that. I knew he was up there, but I didn't know he was that high up there. But and then another one.
Actually, there's a really awesome picture of him, and I can't remember. He's a DC artist now, and he has been for quite some time. But he worked with Stan Lee in Marvel.
I think he's one of the biggest DC artists right now, or story. I don't know who it is.
There's a picture of them on Facebook. This interview is being dated now the 21st of February. So if you were on Facebook at that point in time, you guys might have seen it. If you know who the artist is, put it down in the, I think there's
Comments somewhere down.
section down there somewhere.
I'm not sure if I'm
comment
reversed
section
or not.
down there?
Yeah.
Should be. Yeah. So there's a comment section down there. If you know who it is, let us know in the comments. But yeah, Stan Lee, wow.
And then a really cool story that I had at the Dallas Fan Days Sci-Fi Expo. Dallas Fan Days is a huge event in Dallas, Texas, but they have two smaller events throughout the year. And this was the second smaller event in October of last year, and I dressed up with Sabretooth there. And Chris Claremont, the creator of Sabretooth, co-creator of Sabretooth, and many other X-Men, Jean Grey, was going to be there. So I went there and got a comic book signed by him. But when I was waiting in line to meet him, was next to, I guess, a celebrity entrance, and I was just kind of standing there. And then Jason Momoa, who's going to be the new Aquaman, just popped out, and with his little entourage and some other people walked past us. He stopped, looked at me, was like, "Oh man," and he gave me a little, bro fist pump. That's cool, and walked off. I was like, "Bye." That was really cool for me. I was like, "Oh, cool." Jason Momoa just saw me, gave me a fist bump, liked the costume, and kept on going. And my best friend's wife, who was with me, who's with us there, it was her first Comic-Con, loves Jason Momoa, and she was off shopping at something else, off somewhere else, in line with us. See, if you were just standing in line with us, you could have met Jason Momoa or got really close to him. Nope, you're out there doing whatever you're doing. But yeah, those are my 3 celebrity stories.
Jason Momoa, I mean, that's really something. Like, right around, I'm assuming right around that time he would have been having a lot of success with Game of Thrones.
No, this is just this last October. So he's done Game of Thrones a couple of years ago, but it's still the residual buzz from him being announced as Aquaman. And him, I feel bad for the guy because I can't say anything about it, and I'm sure it's all he hears about. What's going to happen next to Game of Thrones? Of course, he doesn't. What's going to happen to Aquaman and Dawn of Justice and Justice League? You can't say any of that. So it's like,
that's
why do a panel? Because you can't say anything.
Well, this is the thing. You see, like, I was actually pretty surprised when I found out a little thing about him. So he can't talk about what's happening with Aquaman and Dawn of Justice. That's fair. He's under NDA for that. And he can't comment on anything on Game of Thrones because his character is essentially dead.
Gone.
But what he can talk about is all the animated movies that he's been doing with DC, because he has to a lot of Batman characters, specifically Batman in general.
Hmm.
He can at least talk about that.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
true. The recording process of the animated movies and stuff.
and that's kind of something that kind of sometimes gets overlooked, and I tend to feel bad for certain celebrities, and you're like, people just want to know about this TV
That's
show
true.
and that
That's
TV
true.
show, and
That's
they're
true.
like, well, you can ask them about this because they can actually talk about that.
That's true. I didn't think about that. I have never been to a celebrity panel either, so I'm talking out of my realm of expertise, but it's a very good point. If you go to a con, if you're a true fan of them, you would just ask about, can you talk about so-and-so that we know that they have an NDA.
Mm.
It's the comic book movie world. Everybody has NDAs. But if you know the character, if you know the guy, the actor, you know that he's done other work. So if I was in attendance, I would absolutely ask him about his other things that maybe doesn't get as much limelight, and try to get him to talk about him or her talk about that. That is cool. I did not know he was doing animated movies. I did not know that.
He does. I don't know whether you'll have seen um, the
Yes, I think I have it. I
Jason.
don't know if I finished it yet, but I have it.
It's Jason Momoa that does Batman and
Really,
Batline. Yep. So he's
I did
actually
not know that.
writing.
That was
Yeah, I know. I watched it myself, and I was like, "That's Jason Momoa, really?
I'm gonna have to. I have it in my little DVD collection. I have to go dig it out and check. That's
Yeah,
crazy. I didn't know that.
really, really awesome."
Yeah.
Um, so going back towards Comic Cons and such likes, when you've been at these events, have you entered into what's known as the cosplay masquerade?
I've done the cosplay. We have, I guess, the cosplay contest.
Hmm.
There haven't been many masquerades per se, but the cosplay contest, I've done
It's
a
more or
couple.
less the same thing.
The same thing. I've done a couple of them, and it's I like going to them in attendance. I don't ever and compete again. It's not because winning or losing and all that kind of stuff or performing in front of people. It's not any of that. It's just it takes a lot of time of the con, and usually for cons, I only go for one day. I'm not usually not a guest. I usually prefer to walk the con and shop and interact with people. So I'm usually there just for one day. That's all my wife will allow me to go. Just one day, Saturday, the big day. And so
Saturday.
yeah, right. And it's like, and the costume contest will literally take hours out of your time. You got to do sometimes there's prejudging at a certain time. You can take, it'll be an hour wait sometimes for that. Then there's getting in at the place that you need to be in an hour in advance so you can all get lined up. Then it takes another hour or 2, 3 hours to do the actual contest. So it's like, it's half your day sometimes. It's costume contest. And
Insane.
it's taken a lot of the time where I could be interacting with followers, fans, or meeting people, shopping, or letting my wife sit down and having to stand next to me all the time. Eating food sometimes. I remember the Austin Comic Con. I was dressed as Colossus. I did the costume stuff, and I was literally in line for like 3.5 hours and didn't get to eat any food. My bottle of water had ran out a long time ago. We were in an isolated area, so my friend couldn't bring me anything. So it's like after the costume contest, I'm like, man, let's just get out of here. I need some food. And so it just drained me, and I didn't do anything. I just stood in line for 3.5 hours.
That's one
So
of
I
the things.
tend to stay away, but I encourage other people to do it if they feel so inclined. But I stay away from them.
That's kind of one of the things that I kind of like mentioned to my friend about doing. Like we wanted to do something special for going to see the Suicide Squad movie, and like he said, "Oh, I'm gonna do my Joker makeup," and I was like, "Well, I'll do my Harley makeup, but I won't do as much as I've done in the past because the one thing that annoys me the most is where like after doing the event, like I have to take off the makeup, and there's always like a big streak of white down the side of my face." that I don't click on and click onto about until I get home.
Mm.
And I'm getting home at night, so it's pretty much on my face for the entire day. So I
Oh
said
yeah, I
to
know
him,
all about that.
I'm probably just going to do my eyes
Mm.
because that's easy enough removed, and you can tell when it's still a big mark on your eye kind of thing.
Yeah,
Um, in retrospect, I probably should have done that with like Harley from the start because it would mean I could scratch my face.
yeah.
Because you'll know yourself when you wear like stage makeup, all you want to do is like all over your face, and if you do, it screws up everything.
Oh yeah,
You know?
and I remember it was Planet Hulk. I did a prosthetic forehead to make my health look a little more cavemanish. I had green paint, black paint, and all that stuff. I had black on my beard. I had a beard at the time, so I had black in the beard. But I tried using all different kinds of compound mixes to get it sweat proof and touch proof. But still, it never is. So you're wearing this giant metal helmet, legit. It's an actual metal helmet, and just sweat. It was it's in the con was in May in Texas, where it's summertime almost, very very hot outside. So I'm sweating, having to run to the bathrooms every hour or two, and have my handlers and my friends touch up the green paint, or somewhere I might have like gone like this accidentally or something. And like, oh yeah, you get a little white spot right here. You got to touch that up.
I actually
It's a
noticed
pain.
that. I actually noticed a situation like that in a photograph that somebody had took. A joker came up to me when I was doing a kind of Suicide Squad Harley recently, and he just kind of like said, "Okay, put your head on my shoulder and kind of like look daydreamy," and I was like, "That's not a problem for me." So I kind of sat my head there and just kind of like looked off into the distance as he took the photo. I seen the photo recently, and there's like a part kind of like here on
Mhm.
my mouth area, just like up from my lip, that is kind of like a fingerprint like on my face, and I'm like obviously when my friend's done my eyes,
Yeah,
he touched me there, and I'm like, oh great. So I was walking around with this great big like skin tone spot there.
yeah. That's the
Oh,
problem with wearing face makeup
fail.
all day in a hot, sweaty con. You're wearing a big costume, and luckily I
Actually,
haven't had to do it in a while, but it's rough.
I was really lucky this time around because what I did for a Suicide Squad look was just basically got two t-shirts and cut them up. And they were like really thin material, so I was walking around the entire day really cool and calm, while everybody else is like, I can't
Unfortunately, my
breathe.
costumes are never light. Then they're all massive.
um, so on the subject of good and bad, what are some of the things that you would advise somebody who is going to their first Comic Con? So what are like some good things that they can do, and what are some bad things that they shouldn't do?
Well, if they're going to the Comic Con in general, or if they're going to go first time as a cosplayer, it's kind of two different things. Two different.
First time as a cosplayer.
As a cosplayer, you just what you need to do is just have fun. Be the character. If you're going to cosplay, go all out with respect to other people that are there. Yeah, attention, Deadpool players, cosplayers. If you're going to go Deadpool, don't go full Deadpool. Just do about 50%. That's all we really needed at the time. But for most people, if you're doing a costume for your first time, it doesn't matter if it's store bought, made it yourself. You spent a year on it. You spent a day on it. Doesn't matter. As long as you're having fun, going out there, just being your character. Because what you're doing is escaping from yourself. So be the character. Have fun with it. You paid entrance price to get in. Enjoy the con. Things not to do, be respectful of other players, other cosplayers out there. That goes for if you're cosplaying or not. If somebody has the same costume as yours and you don't think it looks as good as yours, they could have spent a year and a half on working on it. Still respect that they put pride and want to cosplay this character, same character as you. So I would say just be respectful of everybody else. There's no need for negativity at a con. No need for back talk. I got to see that guy and blah, 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 blah. Don't need that. This is all about fun, having fun, and letting go of who you really are. So And unless that character talks about people behind their back, then I then be that character. But uh, uh, so when I do a villain, if I do most of my costumes are villain, I'm a villain. I don't go around, knocking people, over and stealing their food or something, a bully or something. But I go around and scare some people every once in a while, or being imposing, just, sneaking up behind people with a giant, killer croc mask and kind of scare them. So, it's respectful to play people, but still having fun with the character. That's what I would say.
Awesome. A little bit about Thor's hammer earlier on. So this will give me a good chance to ask about props in general for you.
Sure.
Do you tend to make your own props, or do you tend to do a little bit of making and buy some other ones in?
Well, when I do a costume, a character rather, but especially if it's a new one, or even if I'm redoing it, I will scour the internet for other examples of people's work that I can use as inspiration for mine. I will also see if there's an awesome looking prop that will fit perfectly for a costume that is reasonably priced, of course. If it's not too expensive, I will go out there and see if there's something already out there that will be better than anything I could possibly do. So, I will definitely, if it's, I know it's outside the realm of what I will be able to do, and that prop will match perfectly with what I'm trying to do, by all means, I would say go for it. I mean, if it's, why reinvent the wheel? If the guy over here made something that works perfect for your costume and it's gorgeous, save yourself some time and trouble to get it. But I will tend to try to do it myself. Like there were other, at the time there were other Mjolnir helmers or Thor out there that I could have bought $100. Even the store bought one I could have modified. But for that one, I wanted it to be heavy and be different. But now for every character, I usually try to have some kind of prop with me. I think having a prop with your character just helps you become that character a little bit more, and also makes your photos you take, because if you're cosplaying and if it's a popular character, you can take hundreds of photos in a day. And I don't like seeing me in the same pose over and over again. So with Killer Croc, I knew that was going to be an issue. It's going to be Killer Croc as a character doesn't have too much of a personality, really. He's just a big bad guy. And with the mask I was wearing, I couldn't articulate any facial gestures. So I was like, man, I need to do something else that I can articulate with. So that's when I came up with my giant rock prop. And chain. The rock prop looks like I tore it out of the wall of Arkham Asylum, and it helped me, learn some new crafting and sanding. So, I would say, if you find a prop that somebody else made and it works perfectly, go for it. On the other hand, you see that prop, you can also challenge yourself, make something like that or something of that quality. So, that's been kind of what I've been struggling with right now with Cable, is that there's a lot of
that he's got.
He's got a lot of guns. Yeah, he's got a lot of weapons and guns, and so I've been looking online trying to find if I could find a nice, cool, big sci-fi rifle with a gun that will fit perfectly with it. That's not out. That's not astronomically priced, and unfortunately, right now I just haven't been able to find one that I really like. So the other options are to make it yourself, or modify an existing gun. So right now, I'm doing what I did before and modifying some Nerf gun that I found that I think looked kind of cool and looked kind of like Cable weaponry. So right now, I'm in the process of modifying. But I'm also in the process of making my own out of foam and wood. And I'm not banking on that to wear with the costume, but it's something I'd like to do to expand my knowledge base. Working on making a really nice foam weapon, and I've never done it before. I've never done it before, so just have to take time to do it. But it's one of those things I'm going to do at the end of the build of Cable. That once I finish it, I'll come back to it, try to see if I can do it. But coming back to it, props, love them. If you can build them yourself, do go for it. If not, find it somewhere else that's even better, go for it. But props make the character, I think.
Awesome. So props versus, props at Comic Cons versus props in a photo shoot. Where do you see them being slightly better?
Oh man, well, for me, I'd just bring the same. If it's good enough for a photo shoot, it's good enough for a con. If it's good enough for a con, it's good enough for a photo shoot. Usually photo shoots, I will take a little bit more relaxed. Comic-Con is where it's like, that's the main stage. The A game has got to be there. Like for instance, with Killer Croc, every photo shoot I went to, I didn't do my eyes. I didn't put the black makeup on because it's like, you can just Photoshop it. It's no big deal. You can do that in post. But I wouldn't dare do that at a Comic-Con. I mean, I blacked out my eyes, contacts in, had the mask on, and I went all out and made sure my prop was in working condition. I could throw it around and swing it and all this kind of stuff. So when I go to a Comic-Con where there's going to be thousands of people, I think that's more important to have your game be what you want it to be what it should be, instead of a photo shoot. Photo shoots, a skilled photographer can do anything. So.
Okay. So my last question for you before we do the Passover would be, what advice would you give to somebody who would like to cosplay but is a little unsure where to start?
For me, I'll just go through what I do, like I said before, just research. If you don't know the character, or you know the character but you don't know what costume you want to do or what version, just Google is your friend. And just type in the character, and just what I do is go to Google Images. I type Cable X-Men, look up all the some cosplayers thrown in there. Of course, they'll have different depictions of them from animated, whatever. It'll just have different depictions of a character, hopefully. And just scroll through and find out what version you like to look at. And I was like, oh, that's the look I want to do. That's the one I think I can. But now I'm going to go back and do a Wikipedia search on them, or a Comixology or something, and just know the character and make sure I know all the facets. Because I learned this very early on. My first time as Colossus and the first time as Cable, both. I really learned really early on that a lot of these young kids who see you as that character could possibly know way more than you do about that character. And when they come up to you and they think that you're that character and they ask you, oh yeah, I saw you in this movie and this comic and we were this, and especially if they're cosplaying as a certain character, and like, oh, we were buddies and this friend. Do you remember that comic? And you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. You'll lose the sense of belief of that. It will vanish. So I would say know the character that you want to do. Realize what your shortfalls are as far as making that character come to life, and then researching those. So if you have no experience with warp, there's so many warp how-to videos. Research on that. Okay, now we got that. Now how do I do foam? On YouTube that you can look at. I actually just watched one on YouTube the other day for Cable that I used to help make my Cable armor for templating, all that kind of stencils and stuff like that. So even I've made lots of costumes, but I'm still actively learning, trying to improve. My advice to a new cosplayer would be research, know the character, and then know what techniques you need to know to make that character come to life. And if you see somebody doing it a more expensive way, they have a 3D printer or they're doing this way, there's always a cheaper alternative to everything. There's even a cheaper alternative to warp too. I mean, there's cheaper everything. So awesome. If money is an issue, there's always a way around it. Just gotta.
So just before we do the Passover real quick, can you tell us 2 costumes that are definitely going to be getting done within the next couple of months with you, and one that you've got in mind, but without telling us specifically what that one is? Sure.
Well, Cable is definitely happening. It's still actively being built right now. I'm not sure how much longer I've got on it. My deadline for it is not till May, so I got a few months. But it's definitely happening. I have to make a new Colossus because I'm way overdue for redoing him. I bought the stuff to make his new costume months and months ago. I just haven't had a chance to get around to actually building it, making it, and have my airbrush guy do the work on it. Mm-hmm. I have to do that because there's a photo shoot I have to do because a Wolverine cosplayer from Canada flew down to Houston in May last year. He's like the quintessential Wolverine. This guy's name's Kevin St. Pierre, and he's 5'4", Canadian in the woodsy Canadian part of Canada, and was born almost to the day of when Wolverine debuted in the comic. So this guy looks like Wolverine. He's short, stocky. He is Wolverine in my opinion. He's a really cool guy. Well, he flew down to Houston last year for Comic Palooza, but I was out of town for work. So, but when he was in town, he did a photo shoot with one of the photographers here, and he's missing Colossus. And if you can guess, Wolverine Colossus, it's a fastball special. And so, right now, the photographer has photos of Kevin as Wolverine being thrown. He just needs me as Colossus throwing him. So, I've been promising him that I do Colossus for nearly a year. So I have to get on that. So that's the second costume I'm going to do. And then the third I've already announced. It's no secret. So it's going to be, I'll show you. This guy right here. This is the Lex Luthor in his power armor.
Oh my gosh. That's going to be insane.
So, yeah. So this one, it's going to be insane. That's right. So I'm working on cable now to learn better foam crafting techniques and stuff like that. I already have stilt legs done already, and but everything, just getting it all together. I'm practicing, kind of using cable as a practice to make that. So, and then one after that, I'd like to do. It's Marvel entity. It has to do with Iron Man. Very big, very powerful, and I already have the groundwork laid out for most of it, so it'll be happening. Hopefully, once this Lex Luthor is built, that will be. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Awesome. Well, now is the point in the time in the interview when I like to turn over to the special guest and say to you, where can we get a hold of you, or where can our viewers get a hold of you if we have any further questions for you?
My number one place I go to is Facebook. So I have my own Facebook page at facebook.com/Titan Cosplay. That's mostly where I interact with a lot of my followers. I have a pretty good response rate, and my wife kind of gets mad at it because whenever somebody messages me, I try to get back to them as soon as I can, right away. I usually respond to every message, and a lot of those messages are, "Help me! I need, what do you think about this?" Or "How do I do this?" "Hey, I love this. How can I do it?" And so I actually encourage people to contact me if they have any questions, and if I can help them, I love it. If I can't, I will find somebody else who can help them.
Awesome.
I also have an Instagram and Twitter. They're both at Titan_Cosplay. Not so much on Twitter. I'm still learning how to do that, but I am on Instagram pretty heavily. I love it as another means of getting to know cosplayers.
This kind of sad because you're saying that you're not on Twitter much. I'm on Twitter quite a bit now and then, but I'm not.
I'm getting better. I'm getting better at it. I'm getting more on there.
I'm not on Instagram though, and that's something that people have been saying to me. Oh, you should get an Instagram, and I'm like,
I like Instagram because at a con, well, it's pictures, but there's other stuff. But at a con, it's kind of hard to find photos of yourself with. I've cards I'll pass out. Hey, I really like that photo. I like your costume. Hey, share this photo with me of us together on my page so that I can have a copy of it as well. I mean, and I'm a fan as much of other people's costumes as much as they are of mine. So that's what I do when I go home after a con. Really kind of scour the internet and Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever it may be, trying to find photos of myself with people that I met.
Definitely.
And that's really hard. But on Instagram, I've noticed you can just do a search at hashtag Killer Croc. Usually, if people know the character, they'll tag that character on Instagram, and you can just click on it and scroll through. Oh, there's me with the guy. Hey, that was me as Killer Croc. It was great meeting you. Add them as a friend. So I've used it as a tool to meet new people, and see pictures from con. And I try to tag. When I put something on Facebook, I will usually put it on Instagram as well. And I'll tag more things so we can share the Facebook. Facebook I like because it was the first social media that I was on as far as Titan cosplay, but it's become more and more cumbersome to get a message across for everybody to see. If I want somebody to see something, then I have to pay them, which is silly, but it is what it is. So.
It certainly is, and sadly, that's us, guys. So I want to take this time now to say thank you to Titan for coming along and helping us pull out more skeletons in the closet that is cosplay.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It was fun.
It's
Uh,
been great having you, and hopefully we'll get to speak to you again in the future really
I
soon.
hope so.
But next time, guys, I will be back with yet another cosplayer. Who knows who that will be? Hope you enjoyed this interview, and please make sure to give us a big thumbs up for Titan and comment down in the comment section. And I think there's a subscribe button down there. Oh, yep, look, there's a subscribe button. Click on that. Okay, guys, so thanks very much. I've been Jai452, and this has been Inside Cosplay. Bye.